Alright, the next thing we want to do is properly import our files into Premiere. So I'm going to hit Premiere File, New Project. And we're going to call it Project because that's the name of our project folder's name. And I am going to direct it into there with a new folder. We'll call it Premiere. And we will put it inside there. And we want to take a look at the scratch disks, and we want them to be all same as project. The next thing we want to do is to import our media into Premiere. But before we do that, I want to show you the changes that we need to make. Basically, down in Timeline, the default for stereo media is use file, and so we're going to use that, and I'm going to show you the problems that it's going to create. So I'm going to double click in here, and we are going to go to project, to our media, and we're going to import our media folder, our audio folder, and I'm going to drag this over into our timeline. We'll drag that into the sequence, expand it so we can see it, and we'll see that there's two channels that's in the same track, and we need to have those separated because this will only turn up on the left side of the stereo channel, and the right side will be empty. So let's delete that import. We will go to our preferences, and we want to set this to mono. So basically it'll split the stereo tracks into two mono tracks. So now we can import our audio. And when we bring it in, we have two separate tracks. And I'm going to right click and unlink them because this is an empty track, and we can just delete that. Alright. So with that understood, now we're going to import our media properly. So I'm going to let's start with our video. We'll bring in the high res. Double click here, we'll bring in the low res. And double click again, and we'll bring back our audio again. Alright, we know that this is a 1080p 2997 file, and so I'm going to drag that here into the timeline, and that is just going to create a sequence that has those same specs. If we go up into sequence settings, we see that it's 2997, that it's 1080p. Life is good. Now I'm going to drag our sequence out of there, and I'm going to name this dailies, because the first thing we want to do is to sync dailies. Now with the FS5, we decided to connect our boom pole directly to the camera, so that's why we have some media files in here. This is a different external mic, so I'm going to hit Command L to unlink these, and we're going to lose that file. And I'm going to hit Command plus to make it a little bigger. And so now basically we got to find where the slate happens, and hit C for cut. And then we want to go into our second system audio, drag that in there, and if I hit the plus sign, we will see that that is where our slate is there. hit V to select and delete this. We can bring this right up there. And it appears we only have one lav mic working. So we can unlink this, right click on it, unlink. And now we have our boom mic and our lav mic.
Can you lower it a little bit? Shot 1-1, take 1.
They chose to do a second slate and hit the backslash, and now it's all sunk up. Basically the audio recorder took a while to stop the machine. That's why it does that. And so then we'll just continue syncing up all of our footage into a daily sequence, and we want to keep this daily sequence pristine so that we can come back to it later when we are editing. And so when you're ready to edit, you can do two things. You can either right click here and duplicate the sequence, and I'll hit return and we'll call it director cut, and we'll open that, and you can start editing your daily sequence there. Or you can then, after you duplicate, delete all the media and just go back into your dailies and cut and paste shots into it as you desire. But we want to leave this daily sequence pristine and untouched so that when I'm going over your projects, it'll be easier for me to look at all the alternative takes, and it'll also make it easier for me to grade your master coverage if this dailies folder remains pristine. Good luck with your edit.